Forget about panic selling. Are we doom spending? Greetings, Lux lovers. Welcome back. Here we believe in intentional luxury, and we're not afraid to invest in pieces that will work for us. So if that resonates with you, then please consider subscribing and stay a while. Well, today I'm going to do a bit of a different kind of video where I'll just talk about a new term that I just learned, and it's called doom spending. I want to talk with you all about it and go into what it is, why people are doing it, and look within to see if I'm doing it. And at the end, I'll provide my thoughts on how I think we can avoid it as a community. And for some eye candy today, I brought my bag of the day, and it is my Constance 18 in the color mushroom with gold hardware. So let's jump right in. I first caught wind of this term, doom spending, from a video that popped up in my feed, and it's a video from CNBC, and I'll link it below. And what originally caught my attention was this new term that it coined.
Doom spending is making impulsive purchases, largely driven out of fear over what the future may bring. In some cases, it's a kind of retail therapy, but it can also be a strategy to get ahead of economic uncertainty.
They define doom spending as making impulsive purchases driven by fear and anxiety about the future. And boy, did that hit home. I definitely don't want to make this political in any way, but you just can't avoid the reality in America right now where there's just a ton of uncertainty. What this video is basically saying is that impulsive spending stems from one's own sense of doom in the future. And when I did my own introspection, I do this 100%. And I think a lot of us luxury lovers actually fall prey to this psychological trick. Like every time we see a price increase video, we totally get triggered. Or every time December comes around and we want to make big ticket purchases because we know that prices will probably go up in January, knowing that things might be 10% more expensive. And there is even more evidence saying that in the US, car prices in March grew double digits compared to January and February because of all this talk about car tariffs. So people are definitely like pre-buying cars before prices supposedly go up. We just don't know. And the video also talks about why we do it, even on an emotional level.
We also have to recognize that we are beautiful humans with a beautiful imperfect brain. And so oftentimes when we feel a lack of control, we try to grab onto anything that we can control and increase our hedonic adaptation and increase our mood.
And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely a stockpiler. Like I literally still have big bottles of hand sanitizer from 5 years ago. And while we're talking about things like car parts now, it could very easily become luxury goods from Europe tomorrow that might get slapped with high tariffs. And if they do, we're toast. So it's interesting to know that what we've been feeling psychologically as a community now has a name for it in the overall industry. And thankfully, I do believe that that is the first step in having this term of doom spending. We can now address it head on, and we know a little more about what triggers it. So I'd love to know in the comments if any of you guys are guilty of this too. And have any of you heard this term before? And to me, I feel like it can make sense as long as you can control it and it doesn't run your life. And as long as you can purchase intentionally and do it with clarity of mind, just knowing what you're getting into. And as long as you can do it within your means, because it can have some detrimental effects.
One of the big drawbacks about doom spending is that it can really prompt you to overspend. So if you are making extra purchases or doom spending in ways that just don't fit in the budget, it's pretty unsustainable. In fact, if you're leaning on credit cards to make some of these purchases, then you're paying a very high interest rate.
So now that we've identified this, I don't want this video to be all doom and gloom. I always like to look at the brighter side of things, and so I'd like to offer some advice or potential solutions, because I think the lesson here is to not only identify the issue, but also have a plan in place to avoid this behavior. So I'll talk about the steps that I'll do to mitigate my own doom spending in hopes that it will help someone out there as well. One piece of advice that I will internalize is really to only buy what I'll need and will definitely use. I always talk about intentional luxury here, and I do put a lot of thought into purchases that I make. Of course, sometimes I do get wrapped up into the heat of the moment, but for the most part, for big ticket items, I do like to take that intentional approach. So I would just suggest don't buy things for an aspirational life that you're living, or just in case you need it, or just in case you have an occasion for it, like a pair of shoes or a dress. I would suggest buying things you know you'll get use of right out of the box and use right away, or where you already know you'll have 3 occasions or 3 outfits where you would use that potential item, whether it be clothes, jewelry, or bags. And second, remember that the race is long and you don't have to get everything on your wish list right this moment. Life is full of milestones, so I would suggest just try not to feel pressure to buy everything right away. Pace yourself, and I know it sounds hard, but I think my rule of thumb will be only buy things that I think I'll need in the next 12 immediate months. And there is a bit of joy in waiting for milestones to unfold before you treat yourself, so I just have to keep that in mind. Third, and maybe most importantly, is I will not go into debt for doom spending, and I would not suggest that to anyone. The video does cite that a lot of people may go into debt over this, and ironically, all the savings you might have captured from buying something earlier on could just be wiped right away by years of interest fees. So really nothing is gained. So I would definitely suggest keeping a cool head and not going overboard, and definitely not going into debt over these purchases. I would also suggest just automating some good behaviors so that you don't even have to think about it. This could be things like creating a budget and sticking to it, set your 401k contributions if you have one to the max, and to just set automatic payments straight to savings and investments so that what's left you know is your play money. So in this way, doom spending is okay for items that you really had on your wish list that you knew you wanted to buy maybe a month or 2 out, but buying them earlier on is to your benefit. And lastly, I'm not gonna go on and on like I've seen in other articles preaching about how people should shift to do things that are low cost or free. Look, I'm a shopper through and through. And the best I can suggest is to recognize if you're susceptible to something like doom spending, and just to really confront your emotions. I would say tell a spouse or tell your friends about this concept and ask them to be your sounding board if you feel like you want to buy something, and you can just get their thoughts on it to see if it's falling into that bucket. I'd also suggest shopping your own closet and appreciating the things that we have. For example, we don't need a birthday bag. We don't need a spring bag. We don't need an It's Friday bag. I truly believe that everything is cyclical. So if we can just hang in there, I do feel like we'll have certainty and confidence once again, so that we can shop out of confidence and not fear. So that's really it. I hope you guys found this helpful, and that it helps us in our community stay out of collective trouble in the near term. And I know sometimes we luxury lovers laugh off this concept and even make it lighthearted, like we talk about the girl math trend and make jokes out of it. But this is kind of serious depending on your circumstance. So I just wanted to call it out and address it, at least for my own benefit and protection. I would love to hear your thoughts about doom spending, and I wonder if it touched a nerve in you like it did for me. So if anyone wants to continue the conversation about this concept, please tag me, because I'd love to hear what you have to say. And also let me know if you like these kind of topical conversations, or like reaction videos that just aren't unboxings, because I like thinking about this stuff, and I'm wondering if you'd like to talk about them here as well. So thank you to those who've stayed with me to the end. Let me know in the comments if you're susceptible to doom spending and what tips you may have to curb the urge. I welcome you to follow me on Instagram if you'd like to see more of how I shop my own closet in my day-to-day and other luxury moments. If you've enjoyed this video, I invite you to go down the rabbit hole that is my luxury chit-chat playlist, and I'll put that link here. Please like it if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong out there. Bye!